the name of the game is speed. So if you can beat out these five other people with a great offer, quick closing, you might get that project over somebody else.
Welcome to the Small Business Breakthrough Series, where each week we are interviewing small business support people, people that are fully supported into helping small businesses grow their business. You, as a small business owner, every day struggle with different needs and elements. And this week, we've got what we struggle with a lot, which is capital. I've built lots of infrastructure heavy businesses, and capital was always a challenge. And today we found Bryce Matheson, the founder of Holbrook Capital out of Idaho Falls, Idaho, who has been huge supportive into building small businesses and helping them with a pain-free lending service, really systematized. Bryce, it's great to have you on the show.
Jason, thanks for having me. I appreciate the invite, and hopefully I can impart some wisdom that's beneficial to your audience.
Hey, yeah, and this is all about being able to understand what it is, how you support. So can you give us a snapshot of what your business is and what major outcome you get for your clients?
Sure. Yeah. So there's kind of a whole long backstory to how we got here, but super high level, quick overview. We got started in real estate investing back in 2016. Did kind of the rental portfolio for a little bit, moved over to kind of the fix and flip side for until around COVID time. And then from there, after COVID, we had some issues with supply chain and material shortages and things like that. And so we kind of switched our game plan and went all into the lending model. So we provide financing, pain-free financing, like you said, to fix and flip investors who just are flipping houses, don't necessarily have the capital, and we make it really easy for people who want to make some money flipping houses but don't have the money themselves. They can come to us, and we help them out.
Oh, that is amazing. Like that's so if you're in the home services business or service-based businesses and you want to get into flipping houses, Bryce might be a great person to talk to. Describe well, you kind of did in in the last question, but I'll let you go for it again. Like describe who your services work best for.
Sure. Like I said, primarily like, if you're looking to flip a house, most people see, Chip and Joanna Gaines on HGTV, and they're like, oh, okay, I could flip a house like that. Let me just tell you, it's not exactly like that. It's not a super fun, sexy, like it, it's dirty, grungy. You're swinging hammers. You're sweaty. It's not a very sexy business, but there can be a lot of money made. So if you are pretty handy, or if you're good at subbing out the contractors and managing the project, but you're just a little light on funds, and you don't have that, but you have a great deal on hand, where I'm your guy. Come to me, and we'll figure something out.
Oh, Bryce, that is so funny. You mean reality TV is not real? That's weird. Like,
Imagine
wow.
that, right?
Like,
Yeah.
no, business is not easy. But and if you're a small business owner, you're in that pain, right? That's what we try to help with our coaching, and why we try to bring on these guests into the podcast is help you break through and get going forward. What would you say sets your business or approach apart from any of your competitors?
Totally. Yeah. So the biggest thing for us is like just where like it's kind of the difference between like if you're going to a little like small town mom and pop restaurant versus like a massive chain. No, you just like you get that small town feel, you get the one-on-one attention and the approach, and that's exactly how we are. You could go to Chase Bank or Wells Fargo or whatever to go get like a home loan, but you're just a number. You're a piece of paper in a file cabinet, and you're just kind of like some of the times they have this ridiculous like overhead managerial paperwork, and it's just clunky. It's a very restrictive process. It's painful, because they're asking for bank statements and taxes and all this other stuff, and it's just a nightmare. So we pride ourselves on we care about who the borrower is, your ability to perform, and we care about the asset. We care about the property that you're working on flipping, the collateral. So if you're a quality individual and you've got a quality deal, that's all we really care about. And we can typically close on a property in 2, 3, 4, 5 days if we have everything we need, rather than taking a month or two necessarily to gather all the information and close. So that's huge, because when you're when you're on the hook trying to buy a house, you're competing with how many other people who are wanting to purchase that house. And most of the time, people see the money that's on the line. They say, "Hey, if I flip this house, I can make $40,000." But you see that, but so do five other people. So the name of the game is speed. So if you can beat out these five other people with a great offer, quick closing, you might get that project over somebody else.
Yeah, time when it comes down to lending has been definitely one of the biggest challenges I know I dealt with um, as I built multiple businesses in the past. The banks never are in fast moving favor, right? Hey, real quick, did you know that most small businesses don't actually achieve their breakthrough? And it's not because you don't care. It's all because you're trying to do it alone. That's why I created the Momentum Community, is to help you change that. I want to see you achieve the breakthrough that you've been waiting for. It's where we committed entrepreneurs come and get focused, get accountable, and finally build a business and life that you are meant for. If you want to learn more, click the link in the description below and enjoy the rest of the episode.
Yep.
So what is the biggest challenge your industry faces, and how are you tackling that for your partners?
Sure. Yeah. I'd say the biggest bottleneck or constraint that we have right now is capital, just because it's a very capital intense business, so you might say, "Hey, I've got $1 million cash." That's a lot of money, but it goes really quick when you're buying three or four houses all cash, so you like I said, that sounds like a lot of money, but you have four loans out and then all of a sudden you're out of cash. So it is very capital intensive. But we've kind of counteracted that by offering investors that we partner with a really great rate of return. So rather than making 6, 7, 8% in the stock market, we pay double that. So it's been really, really advantageous for investors, and it's an interesting asset class that a lot of people haven't really heard about before.
Yeah, that is very interesting to be able to go through and have the support of those of all that extra funds. The all of small businesses are changing, and I can't even imagine in the capital world quite all of the different dynamics that might be coming down the road, especially if you consider various different versions of AI that can be used for calculating better rates of return faster or any of those elements. How do you see your field evolving in the next 5 to 10 years that might help and then what are you doing with that evolution to be able to stay ahead of the curve?
Totally. Yeah, that's a good question. So, AI is changing a lot of things, but luckily because we are a very hands-on type industry, I think it will hopefully impact us less. Um, that being said, a lot of people are, concerned with like a recession, and inflation is sky high. So those are obviously some scary things to think about. But we feel like we're fairly insulated just because of the asset class that we're in. Like typically, for example, if you're buying a property that's $100,000, you're going to put maybe $50,000 into it, and then you're going to sell it for 200 or 250,000. Those are some pretty good margins. We're not talking about like a $29, info based product that anybody can quickly recreate or reproduce using AI. I could be totally wrong, because who knows what's going to happen to the market, but I do feel like we're fairly insulated because of the industry that we're in.
Yeah, that's definitely like when it comes down to house flipping, there's always going to be
People
houses,
need a place to live, right? Yeah.
right? Yeah, people need a place to live, and there's always going to be somebody that is either something, whether it's a life event or the house just got abandoned. You never know.
Yep. Yep.
They will always be out there. Well, it has been a great interview thus far, but you ready to shake it up a little bit and go for the
Let's
lightning
do
round?
it. Hit me.
Okay. It's a lot of fun. We'll get through it. But uh coffee or tea?
Ooh, I'd say coffee. I'm not a big tea drinker. I bet that's pretty common on other people you interview,
It
right?
it has been all over the board, and I've gotten a none. Water.
Really?
That
Okay.
my last one actually was water. No coffee, no tea.
Straight
Uh,
water. Okay.
I'm all coffee. Like I do enjoy tea in the evenings, just no to lower the,
Okay.
but yeah. Cats or dogs?
Ooh, can I say neither?
Yes, that's
I'm
allowed.
I'm I'm not an animal person.
Okay.
People may like cringe when I say that, but like if I had to pick one, I'd say dogs. But I'm like I've got two little rugrats running around. They're enough to handle. I don't need an animal on top of that.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay. If you could grab only one weapon or item during a zombie apocalypse, what would it be?
Ooh. Ooh, I'm gonna say like a samurai sword. I think do you ever like Walking Dead, you got like Michonne on there and she's got like her super long, like I don't know, she seemed like pretty versatile. Like she'd get up close and personal, but also like far enough away because your sword's like 6 feet long, like I think that's a good way to approach it. That's a good question though.
Good. How about your favorite quote or phrase that you think about often?
Ooh, lately, I have been focusing really heavily on something that Alex Hormozy talks about. He says, volume negates luck. And that has been gold lately. As entrepreneurs, we always think that we're doing enough. But I don't know that that's necessarily true. And a lot of the times you can outwork whatever problem you're having just by volume. So if you don't have enough leads, let's do 100 DMs, 100 cold outreach, 100 cold emails, and that especially in my business has been key as of late.
Yeah, that's volume negates luck. Hermosi is for sure on that one.
Yep.
How about favorite movie or streaming series that you love?
Ooh. Um, right now, I know it's an old one, but my wife and I are watching Prison Break. Not because it's, new or whatever, but my wife had never seen it and has probably been probably 10 years since I've seen it last. So it's good to rewatch that, and it's got some good cliffhangers, and we're really enjoying that.
Cool. One book that has influenced your life the most.
Book. There's the typical ones, the cliche ones. I won't say that, but there's a Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. That one's been very influential for me. Just kind of the way that I reframe things and think about things, and whether or not I should be outsourcing or delegating certain tasks rather than myself doing that. So that's a classic for sure.
Yeah, I just started it this morning. So
Okay,
actual
okay, you're
book
gonna love it.
and yeah, it was hard to put down. When I get into a good business book, I have to actually put a time limit on so I can get the rest of my stuff done. Otherwise, I'll just sit
Yep,
and read it all day.
yep, and read all day.
Biggest obstacle that you've ever had to overcome, and what did you learn from it?
Ooh, that is a good one. I don't know about biggest necessarily, but just a big obstacle that we had to do was I kind of briefly touched on that already, but just how we kind of pivoted our business due to COVID. So for example, we had a house that we were flipping at the time, and just about everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. I remember we were almost completely done with this project, but we had the only thing we had left was baseboard, and we could not find baseboard anywhere. Like I remember calling every warehouse within like a 12-hour radius, and I was like, look, I will drive down with a trailer and pick up baseboard if you have it. Like we could not find it anywhere. But eventually things kind of caught up, COVID, supply chain and all that stuff. But we found baseboard, and we ended up selling the house, and we basically broke even on it. I think we made about $1,200, so not great compared to our other projects. But that led us into the lending business, and it was really eye opening, and I think I'm grateful for that hardship, just because it led us to where we are currently.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to take away from any of that part or that question, especially, but any mistake, anything obstacle that you've come from, if you're not learning, you're not growing, right? And we're always being directed by the universe as to which way we should be when we get to our sweet spots. So,
Absolutely.
Bryce, it has been an absolutely great interview. It has been great having you on the show. How can viewers get a hold of you if they want to collaborate with you?
Sure. Yeah. Probably the easiest way is Instagram. We're pretty active on that. It's just my first and last name at Bryce Matheson. If you're more interested in like the lending piece, either borrowing or investing with us, you can go to our website. It's Holbrook Capital, HOLBROOK capital.com. But you pretty much either of those are funneled to me. So you can find me pretty easily through one of those avenues.
Awesome. Hey, Bryce, it has been so awesome to have you on the show. Thank you for the insights today. And listeners, if you're interested in capital, interested even in learning what lending is or how to go through it, reach out to Bryce. All of his contact information will be in the show notes. And until next time.